Well, good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day here in Ward 8, and we hope you all get a rise out of this press briefing this morning. And for those who booed, trust me, it'll never end, all right? It really is a pleasure to be here as we celebrate the completion of this amazing, I guess what I'll call it, a one-of-a-kind facility. It's great to see so many people here. For those who want to come into the room, just come on in now. If you don't, that's fine. You're welcome to stand right there. We are inside the historic St. Elizabeth's Chapel, where there have been literally generations of people who have been here in the past, and we think have been inspired and uplifted. This used to be a place that was used by patients, by staff, by, a cross-section of the people who were at this hospital. And like so many areas of this campus, is now taking on a new use. We're hoping that the chapel's rebirth as the R.I.S.E Demonstration Center will also uplift and inspire new generations of people, individuals, and of course an entire community, which we have promised that this is the direction that we were going to pursue. We have a number of people who joined us. I see Councilmember Anita Bonds, who is here with us today. Thank you, Councilmember, for being here. Where's our deputy? Oh, there he is. Our Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, Jeff Miller. Our Director of the Department of General Services. I swear, Brian, it's like every other day. We're doing something. It feels good, doesn't it, to be able to deliver on these promises. Our Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner, who chairs Commission 8C, Commission 8C, and who laid claim to the gateway when we finished that. And we didn't have to wait until she laid claim to this, because we have an office downstairs for all the commissioners and the chair, of course, for Advisory Commission 8C. That's Mary Cuthbert. Mary, thank you very much for being here with us. I see Commissioner Anthony Muhammad is here with us as well. Thank you, Commissioner, for being here as well. And the person who really is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the campus here, and really has done a fantastic job, in my opinion, and the opinion of so many others, and that is Catherine Buell. Thank you, Catherine. It was really just 5 months ago that we announced the funding allocation for the chapel. The funding was made available through our Forward 8 initiative. If you think that's a play on words, it is. Forward 8. We had awarded $2.5 million to district-led projects, and we were here yesterday with our cabinet meeting, and we got to talk about some of those projects yesterday that really are doing a lot from the perspective of innovation, especially in terms of our sustainability efforts. The Forward 8 initiative is led by Ellen McCarthy and her team at the Office of D.C. Planning, and I want to thank them for helping to make this happen. We think that the R.I.S.E Center has answered the call of residents who just 2 years ago, right down the street from here, gathered for the first Ward 8 Citizen Summit. It was the first in a series of 3 community summits that we conducted. In conducting those summits, we knew that there was a high level of cynicism, because there have been so many false starts and so many promises that have been unfulfilled. And there were folks who, I'm sure, thought, well, here we go again. What was uplifting to me, frankly, was that we had, 500 or 600 people who showed up at Savoy and Thurgood Marshall to work that day to be able to move us forward. And what you're seeing in the development of these efforts with Gateway and now with this is a fulfillment of a vision that was crafted with this community a couple of years ago, and now it is taking shape. Even as the district booms, and we are booming, we now have what I think I have used for about a year now 647,000 as our population. But at the same time, I've also said that we're adding 1,000 to 1,200 people a month. So if you do the math, we're obviously well above 647,000 people. We're at about 660,000 people at this stage. And that is the largest population that the District of Columbia has had, I think, since the certainly 1970s and maybe 1960s. And we are on a roll. While our city is growing rapidly in terms of population, we're also gaining new retail and new service amenities, and that really is what one city means to me. It means not that everybody gets along with one another, because that's inane. What it means, frankly, is that irrespective of where you live, you should have ready access to the same things, the same opportunities that anybody else has in the District of Columbia, and that the river or other dividers that we define in this city shouldn't also define your experience. We have a brand new high school that is being built right around the corner. Ballou, thank you very much, sir. Ballou, Frank W. Ballou Senior High School. The first phase will be open in December. It will probably be, and we have some really fine high schools in the city now, right, Brian? We redid Cardozo, modernized that. We've built a new Dunbar High School. We're working on Roosevelt. We've got Duke Ellington that is now underway, but I think none will be finer than Frank Ballou High School. It will cost, I think, it's $141 million when it's finished, and I raise that simply because there will be a connection between what's done at Ballou and what's done here, because there are students who will have an opportunity to engage in internships as a result of what we're doing here, and of course it's right around the corner. I've challenged our agencies to propose innovative projects to address the most pressing issues for Ward 8 residents, and we have challenged and urged unprecedented levels of partnership, and this is, I think, a tremendous example of what can be done and will further be done here at this site. I also want to give a special thanks, and I don't see him, to our Chief Technology Officer, Rob Mancini. Is Rob here? He's back working on new technological innovations. Anyway, I want to thank Rob for the work and his Connect DC team for the work that they've done to help design the technology features of this space. Let me just take the opportunity to say a little bit more about the demonstration center. Again, the name R.I.S.E. was selected by the Ward 8 community, and that's the way we try to roll, right, Mary? We try to respect this community and do things so that people have a sense of ownership, not that something was handed off and maybe people like it, don't like, and they do like it, then it's just purely an accident. This name is liked because the community selected it. And R.I.S.E. in this instance means, it's got the 8s in it, you all. Relate, innovate, stimulate, and elevate. Got all the 8s. All 4 of the verbs, of course, end in 8. We think that this space will bridge the gap between our innovative economy and our community by bringing events, classes, and I hope you all who haven't will go downstairs and see what's going on downstairs. It'll bring pop-up shops, and we've had pop-up businesses now for a number of months over here. We've had Whole Foods, we've had other entities that have come. We even made a deal with folks that if you will come here, we will charge you the whopping sum of $1 a month. We just want you to come here because we think once you get here, you will be so enamored of what's going on here that you won't care about the rent for the future. And for those of you who've been here when Whole Foods has been here, you know that it has taken hold and is now very much a part of our community. One of our anchors is Microsoft. And good morning, Mr. Barry.
Mr. Mayor, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Mr. Barry. How are you doing?
Fantabulous.
Yeah, it's fantastic, Mr. Barry.
Fantabulous.
I understand what it is. In any event, Microsoft is one of our anchors. And, you know, when we talked about bringing technology and innovation to the St. Elizabeth's hub, we got to the point, we wanted Microsoft to come, and we got to the point where Microsoft, and Donna Woodall is here, she's become a good friend who represents Microsoft, got to the point where they publicly announced that Microsoft was coming to Ward 8. And I was hesitant to tell people that because you say Microsoft is coming to Ward 8, and people will say, what have you been smoking, man? Whatever it is, you better change your brand because we don't think that that's going to happen. But not only is it happening, but the first software training will start here at the R.I.S.E Center on September 1st, and it will be conducted by Microsoft. And when you go downstairs, you will see on the wall of one of the rooms downstairs, you will see Microsoft painted on the wall, and it's indelible paint, Donna. We think that this kind of commitment on the part of you know, one of the world's leading technology firms will send a loud message, and that is that we are for real, and people are for real about coming and being a part of this. We're also happy that the Washington Informer, one of our D.C. papers, has won the contract to serve as the marketing arm for the R.I.S.E Center. And as a part of that agreement, they are producing an 8-page special section that will highlight the center and also feature other economic development efforts around St. Elizabeth's and, of course, around the entirety of Ward 8. This center is just one of several strategic investments that we're making in the St. Elizabeth's campus in order to generate enduring economic development here on the east end of the city, and specifically in Ward 8. The Gateway Pavilion opened last October, which is now, what, about, I don't know, 8 or 9 months ago. We've had, since last October, we've had about 20,000 people who have come here. And what this is doing is quite literally bringing down the gates and the walls that cordoned off St. Elizabeth's from the world and the community when it was, since 1855, a mental health facility. We still have a hospital, which is here, but the mental health presence is much less significant than it was in years past, when I guess there was a day 50, 60 years ago when there were about 7,000 patients who resided at this hospital. And that was when mental health had a different kind of significance than it does today. The undergirding principles now is that people stay in the community to the extent that they possibly can, and pharmacology has improved so much that people can be aided in that way in order to not have to be hospitalized. So it has left the opportunity that we are grabbing aggressively at this stage. We've also hosted some pretty amazing events. In fact, we got one coming up this Saturday, right, Catherine? Broccoli City will be back? Yeah, back, yep, a back-to-school event. But we had Broccoli City here a few months ago, and there were 6,000 people who showed up for that event. And so I'm challenging our council members today to come out and join us this Saturday and be a part of this. I was here for several hours the last time this was done, and it was very festive, and a lot of young people. You know, a third of our population now is under 35 in the city, and there were lots of young people who were here as a part of Broccoli City. I actually stumbled upon Broccoli City. My son, who is, I go places, and my son, the people will say, "Are you Carlos's father?" And I got used to that after a point. And he said, "You know what, Dad? I went to this event involving Broccoli City, and they are really into sustainability, and you need to go see, you know, what they're doing." So I went down to an event down at the fairgrounds, and they must have had a couple thousand people there. And I came back and said to Keith, I said to Keith Anderson, I said, Keith, we really need to, we need to, strengthen our partnership with them. And that's what led to the previous event, and which is a catalyst for the event coming up on Saturday. I guess we'll have music and all kinds of festivities, right, Catherine? The Gateway to Health programs, which I talked about Whole Foods a second ago. We have a monthly fresh foods market that's hosted by Whole Foods. And what they do, and a lot of people don't know this, they donate 100% of the proceeds to organizations right here in Ward 8. So it isn't about them just trying to make a dollar. It's about them trying to establish the importance of nutritional foods and access to those foods right in people's own backyard. The Gateway to Creative Programs has ranged from hand dancing to movie nights. They're hosted by our Office of Motion Picture and Television Development. I think they were here. Was it last Friday or Friday before last? They'll be here. Oh, okay. So come on out. That'll be fun. I guess they'll be doing all those things, including a movie here. They had a video clip that they put out a few days ago from the last time they were here, and there were hundreds of people in that video clip, which again is a powerful statement about the attraction that we have here. And then we have the Gateway to Success programs, which have included small business outreach efforts and recruitment for training programs and other related activities. We have a number of people I want to ask to come up and say a few words, but I want to begin with the council member from Ward 8. I'm glad he's here today. So please join me in welcoming. Welcoming. Welcoming, he has many titles. So I won't go through all the titles because if you say mayor, you got to say it 4 times because he's been the mayor 4 times. Been the council member a number of times also. He's been the president of the Board of Education. He's been lots of things.
He's mayor for life.
Yeah, he's a mayor for life. I don't know if I want to say that, council member. Will then be. Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. He's then going to be followed by Mary Cuthbert. Commissioner Muhammad, would you like to say a few words also? You're one of our elected officials. You know, elected officials never miss an opportunity, brother. If you would like to say a few words, we'd have you come up after Commissioner Cuthbert. And then we'll have our Deputy Mayor, Jeff Miller, who will come up, then Brian Hanlon. Woo, we got a list today, don't we? And then we will have Catherine Buell, who will come up and talk about the great work that she's involved in every day here at our campus on the East End. Mr. Barry?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Ward 8, the great Ward 8, being transformed before our very eyes. And some of you all might have needed a GPS to get here, but you won't worry about it because you come here quite frequently. You can do a lot of groundbreaking, a lot of ribbon cutting, a lot of jobs, a lot of good things. Before I continue, let me say, earlier this year, I had a near-death experience with a blood infection. And some good doctors at Howard and a good guard that got rid of that. I went to rehabilitation at the National Rehabilitation Hospital. Stayed in the hospital 39 days. But God saw fit to bring me back to help serve the people of the District of Columbia in general and Ward 8 in particular. Let's give God some praise. That's how we do in the Baptist Church now. Let's give him some praise, real praise, because he's worthy to be praised. So if you see me walking not too fast, at least I'm walking. Because when I had this infection, knocked me to my knees. I couldn't stand up, couldn't walk, couldn't do anything. But I'm just delighted to serve this ward. And I'm delighted to be here with Mayor Vincent Gray. I'm going to take a little bit longer than he wants, but I'll just say Vincent and I have been friends, program friends, political friends, almost 35, 40 years. Since we own St. Elizabeth's campus, old St. Elizabeth campus, Vincent and I decided we're going to take over 1,000 people out of Forest Haven, out of sight, out of mind. Incidentally, when I came in office in 7-8, Vince, as you very well know, there were 8,000 people on this campus, and now they're less than 400, 500. So we decided to put them in the community. And so Vince and I go back. We were elected to the council the same year in 04. I was pleased that he became chair of our council, has done outstanding work in that area. And I worked hard for him, citizens worked hard for him. In 2010, to defeat Adrian Fenty, he became the mayor. And he's done a fantastic job as mayor. A fantastic job as mayor. What I said before, in a democracy, there has to be room for disagreements. Now, if you don't want disagreements, elect a pope or emperor or a king or a queen. But if you elect a mayor and city council, expect us not to be always on the same page. I'm on Vince's page, and you're on my page, probably about 85% of the time. That ain't bad, is it? And so I made some critical remarks, but also I've supported him when it was tough to do so. Vince, we just love you. And this event here today is part of a larger scheme about Ward 8, transforming Ward 8. The Ward 8 was seen as a place of prostitutes and drug dealers and gangbangers and trifling, lazy people. I knew it wasn't true, but a lot of people thought it was true. We have 73,000 people who live in Ward 8, who call it their home. And so this is just part of a larger transformation, 10,000 units of housing. We got about 35 businesses that are relocated here. We got our schools being modernized. Vince, as you know, I have more schools modernized and spent more money than any ward in the city, except Ward 3. And that's the team. Since 2010. Yeah. Since 2000. Since you mentioned that, Vince. When we came on the council, even when he became chair, because the mayor had assisted back over to the council, I think there was about $10 million or so in the budget for Ballou. But do you know what? With Vince's help, my work and my colleagues, we are now building a brand new $142 million school campus on 4th in Alabama, Mississippi. Let's give us a round of applause for that. And Brian Hamlin has done a great job of making sure we get minority contractors, making sure we get jobs for our people. And so this is just really a combination of things. And Vince, as I said earlier, done a fantastic job as mayor. Now, immediately treated him like he treated me. That's bad. So thank you, Vince, for your leadership. I'm winding down. Let's give him a round of applause. One final point. When I was mayor, the senator from Missouri, the federal government is on both sides of this campus. He came to me and said, Mr. Mayor, I want to give you, transfer to you, those two campuses. And I looked at it, had some studies done, and found it would be at least $200 million to try to renovate all that asbestos and a lot of other stuff out of there. I said, Mr. Senator, you keep that one. I'll take the east side. and I'm glad I did. Because what I did, I got 2 for 1. I got the Homeland Security going to the west side, and you got D.C. government and all of our trappings of it on the east side. That's how it happened, just that way. So again, Vince, thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you, Catherine. I think I'm going to do something I shouldn't do, but stand up, Catherine. She's the one that runs this place. And she's a Ward 8 resident, too. Thank you very much. And God bless all of you. Mary, always good to see you. So let's just keep on transforming Ward 8, making it the best ward in the city. I'm determined to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Barry. We also have been joined by Councilmember at Large, Anita Bonds, and I don't want to miss the opportunity to have her come up and say a few words also on this auspicious occasion. Councilmember.
This is a terrific occasion for all of us. Good morning to everyone, and I know that you're in Ward 8, but also remember, you're in the District of Columbia. And what we do in Ward 8 transfers across the city. This is a wonderful day. We are saying yes to technology in a big way, and we're saying yes to the future of the District of Columbia. That's what I see in this program this morning. And as we think about the District of Columbia, we know that we are on the move. It is very, very true that we have seen, I guess, almost like light waves of changes in the district under Mayor Gray's leadership. And, you know, we can't say enough about that. I think we're all benefiting and we're all looking to continued prosperity, continued growth. And I just want the mayor to know how much we really appreciate the transformations that we have seen during his tenure. So can we please give him a round of applause? Please. Where is he? You know, so frequently we forget to say thank you to people who have made a tremendous difference in our lives and into our future. And so I just thought it made sense for us to just do that, because this is such a terrific day. I mean, this building, I was just talking to Catherine and, you know, thinking about, you know, my goodness, what a transformation. It seems, you know, tiny now, but it's very inviting to the community, and that's what we really want to do. And we want to invite, you know, the so-called knowledge people, those who are going to bring, continue to bring change to the District of Columbia. So I'm very happy to be here with you and to help you in your celebration. And to our officers of government, I mean, what can be said? You get a charge and you deliver. And that's what citizens, taxpayers expect. And thank you very, very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning. Today, Mr. Mayor, Council Member Barry, Council Member Bonds, and members of the D.C. government. Today is a wonderful day in Ward 8. It's a brand new day. To look at the transformation of this building, which was the chapel, I just couldn't believe how large this room is. Am I correct, Council Member? With the pews in here, it was just, you know, a chapel. But look at the transformation. And guess what? We have something special for the residents of 8C. Our office will be located downstairs. And we will welcome all of you to come and visit us. I want to thank Mayor Gray for all the work, the commitment that he made to us east of the river, and we can see it now. It's been, what, 60 years, Councilmember Barry, since anything was built on this land? Am I correct? No, it's been about 60 years. The Dix building was the last one. And look at it now. And we invite all of you to come to our different activities at St. Elizabeth Pavilion. Not campus, pavilion. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Mayor Gray, Councilmember Bonds, Councilmember Barry, and all of the workers of the D.C. government that made this possible. We are forever grateful, and we know that the most consistent thing is change. So look for continued change to go and come with Ward 8. Ward 8 will be the most consistently changing ward in the city because it is the last bastion of low income, low price property. So everyone in the city wants to come to Ward 8. We are looking for you to come to Ward 8, and we want to bring the residents with us and the business with us who have been in Ward 8 in the bad times. So when the good times come, we want them to benefit also. So thank you, Mayor Gray and the council and everyone else who helped Ward 8 to come to the modern times. Thank you.
You know, as we bring up our Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, I also want to acknowledge the presence of our city administrator. If you have never worked with Alan Liu, you have missed something. There is nobody like Alan Liu. What were we on the phone about, 11 o'clock last night? Not even talking about this. We were talking about housing. And we were talking about how we have a particular thing that we want to do, okay? And Alan is on the other end. I know we can do this. I know we can do this in 3 months. And it doesn't. And we're not going to just do 3. We can do 4. And you know what? Most people, if you heard that from them, you go like, you better change your brand of smoke too, brother. But with Alan, the reality is, if he says he's going to get it done, it will get done. That's the kind of person Alan Liu is. Stand up, Alan, and be recognized. All right, we're going to have Jeff Miller come up, and then we'll have Brian Hanlon.
I'm not an elected official, so I will be sparse with my mic time. Thank you all for coming today. How does it feel to live in the coolest city in the country?
That's what we are. And the fittest.
And as the mayor points out, we were also named the fittest in the country. I must have been on vacation during that survey. Welcome to the R.I.S.E Demonstration Center. It's the second of the many legs that this campus will provide to this community. The first was the Gateway Pavilion, as the mayor described. We now have the R.I.S.E Demonstration Center, and we will then follow that up with the Innovation Center that will be coming with Microsoft, Stimul8 and SmartBIM shortly. We're very excited about having this be part of the overall development of this project, which will be 5 million total square feet of development that will include housing, retail, innovation centers, and hotels. And again, we're excited to have this be part of it, and to have the community and the ANC commissioners here to help celebrate it. I want to thank a few people. Catherine Buell has been mentioned multiple times, as she deserves to be mentioned. However, there are some other folks on our team who I hope are here. Andre Byers, James Parks, Darnetta Tias, who I saw here earlier. There she is. And Gary Ellis, I saw, and Andre Swan. Thank you for being here. And thank you for all your work you do. I see Ella McCarthy sort of hiding in the back, but without her Forward 8 grant dollars, we could not be talking about this R.I.S.E Center today. And then you will be hearing from Brian Hanlon, our director of DGS. But I saw someone here earlier, June Locker, who basically makes everybody on our team look great. She's over there. She's the one responsible for getting all this, the pavilion, and the R.I.S.E Demonstration Center done. So thank you for them too. And then I want to thank the mayor, because this has been a focus of the mayor's initiative since I first came to the deputy mayor's office. I used to run the real estate development portion of it, and we were told by the mayor this is a high priority, this and technology, and now we've been able to marry them both. So I appreciate the mayor's continued focus on this, and it's amazing we're able to be here today in such quick fashion. Just a couple of things I want to talk about that the R.I.S.E. Demonstration Center will do shortly. We've got a couple of pillars. One is the sustainability on the R.I.S.E., and that will be a series of events promoting sustainability, including the built environment, climate, energy, food, nature, transportation, waste, water, and the green economy. We also have, I'm not sure how you pronounce this, it's STEM on the Rise with an A in the middle, so STEAM on the Rise. The A stands for arts, and some of you may be familiar with our creative economy initiative, where we're trying to get a lot more focus on the creative side of the economy, which accounts for about $14 billion worth of domestic product for the city. And finally, Experience on the Rise, which is a series of events planned to expose residents of Ward 8 in the district to new professional and learning experiences. Finally, I also want to recognize that starting in December, UDC will begin to offer free Microsoft training classes here. Additionally, the Admin Tech Academy and technical courses will be added throughout the year for furtherance of goals to offer training that leads straight to jobs for Ward 8 residents. Today's a truly exciting day for St. E's. Thank you all for joining us, and appreciate you coming. Thanks so much.
Good morning, everyone. My family comes from the west of Ireland, and they're all dairy farmers. And when I was visiting them, I went to church one Sunday, and Mass in the west of Ireland happens really fast because the cows need to be milked. And I would say that Jeff Miller would rival any Catholic priest in the west of Ireland for just getting it done, get the message out there. Thank you. I want to first echo the great thanks of our mayor. It has been an honor of a lifetime for me to serve Mayor Vincent Gray, who has made many, many promises to the city and kept every one of them. And to be able to be a part of that legacy, to me, it's just been, frankly, again, an honor of a lifetime. When DGS was created in October 1st of 2011, we got together and we talked about, what are we about? And so, of course, we're all clear on what we do, which is we design, we build, we maintain, we secure district real estate, schools, parks, fire stations, whatever. But more importantly, we spend a great deal of time talking about why we do what we do. And one of the 8s that's been discussed today is Elevate, and on the back of our cards is the word Elevate, which is something that we take very seriously. And it's the why and the things that DGS does that makes us so proud to be able to serve Mayor Gray. Every project we do, we're committed to making sure that district-based businesses get as much work as possible. On the pavilion right over there, I think we were north of 60% of the dollars spent on that project were for district-based businesses. We're tracking right now about 54 or 55% for this project. We have created programs to incentivize contractors to hire district residents. I can thank Alan Liu, my mentor and protege, for coming up with that program. We've wrapped it across our whole portfolio. And those are the things that we are so proud to be a part of. I think it's fitting that we're in a former house of prayer that has now become essentially one of the key linchpins to a great piece of transformation for our city and for this ward. And one of the things that I wanted to cite is, it's one thing to hire district-based businesses. It's another to make sure that they're growing in a real and lasting way. And I want to I usually don't cite contractors individually, but Scotty Irving's here, Blue Sky Construction. Blue Sky they built Rosedale Rec, they've done a couple of libraries, they've done a number of projects for us. And he's actually expanding his business and will be responsible for caring for this building. So to me, that's kind of cool. He's expanding his business. He has grown his business with integrity and is doing great work. So I want to congratulate Scotty for that. Where is Scotty? He's probably taking care of the building right now. I saw him this morning and last night. Yeah, that's right. So just a couple of quick thanks. Architects, Cunningham Quill, they are also a CBE. General contractor was GCS, a CBE. Again, we had about 54% of CBE participation on this project, and a number of Ward 8 contractors that include, this is one of my favorites, Gotta Go Now. I'll give you one guess what they do. Temporary toilets, yes. Trusted Solutions. I don't know if anybody has to go now, but I'm almost done. Trusted Solutions and Gaston and Backus, they worked on the demolition. Atlas Steel, Atlas Steel actually also worked on the pavilion over there. HRGM, which has done a number of projects for us, and Walkway to Metro. Project is tracking LEED Silver. I want to just run through a couple of quick thanks again to being able to, following in the footsteps of Alan Liu can feel daunting, but it's been a great pleasure, and he's been a great mentor for me. Jeff Miller and his team, I want to thank. One of the honors that I've been able to have is the mayor really emphasizes collaborative problem solving and working together. So I've gotten to work with, of course, Victor Hoskins, Jeff Miller now, Catherine Buell, and the deputy mayor's team. Jeff stole my thunder and already thanked June Locker, but she manages our capital construction division, so it's fitting that she gets thanked twice. She's standing right over there. Next to Mark Chambers, who leads our sustainability and energy division, is doing great things across the city. Solomon Ecotun, Wale, I'm just going to call him Wale because I can't say his last name, Vanessa Simmons and Corey Morgan, and I'll just close out by thanking, of course, Commissioner Mary Cuthbert, who is not wearing her crown today, but I've seen her do that before, and it's a well-earned crown, and of course, Commissioner Mohammed, Councilmember Barry. It's always a pleasure working with you and making sure that we are pushing forward on getting district-based businesses on our projects, and Councilmember Bonds as well. And with that, I'll close. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the R.I.S.E Demonstration Center. We are so excited to have everybody here and to open our doors. I would like to start by thanking Mayor Gray, because without Mayor Gray's push, without the attention that Mayor Gray has paid to us, without the support, we would not be able to work on what we think is the most awesome project in the District of Columbia. So thank you very much, Mayor Gray. I'd also like to thank Deputy Mayor Miller. Deputy Mayor Miller, Jeff Miller, as we know him, has been supportive. He has been a friend. He has been an awesome leader and an awesome mentor. So thank you very much for your continued support for St. Elizabeth. Today, we're proud to introduce the St. Elizabeth East redevelopment in a very real way with this innovation and technology demonstration space. The creation of the Innovation Hub is a very important initiative for the District of Columbia. When built out, the Innovation Hub will create the largest commercial center in East Washington. Today is also a very important day for St. Elizabeth as we introduce the demonstration center in partnership with the community. By being in this chapel, a building that the community held in high regard, and making it the first building in our Innovation Hub, we're signaling that this Innovation Hub will not only be amazing, full of exciting programs, new and creative technologies, but it'll also be inclusive of the surrounding community and open to the public. I want to point out several features of this building. First, we intentionally approached this as a conservative, adaptive reuse of an existing building, and we restored the exterior of the building and kept the existing wood windows. Second, we created a new entrance that allows the public to enter off of Martin Luther King to make the campus more inclusive and inviting. Third, we created a secondary entrance that exits into the St. Elizabeth Innovation Hub and the future of this campus. Fourth, you'll notice throughout the building and in the restrooms inspiring sayings from community and national leaders. We hope that these sayings will inspire positive thoughts and achievement. Fifth, we've included the ANC 8C offices in the lower level in this building to honor the community leaders that have persevered and served as the strongest advocates for this redevelopment effort. Sixth, our Digital Inclusion Center will seek to bridge the gap between technology and offer free programming training classes to the public. And finally, we included a reflection area and a quiet room to acknowledge the history of the campus and the chapel. And we hope that everybody will take a moment to reflect on what this building represents for this community. I would like to continue to thank the St. Elizabeth East team members, because without you, we could not get this done. The St. Elizabeth East Advisory Board, and if you're an advisory board member, if you can raise your hand, I notice that they are represented throughout the crowd. Our DIMPED family, our DGS partners, and our sister agencies, including OCTO. And if you're a member of the OCTO team, please raise your hand, because they sat in every single planning meeting to make sure that we got the technology right. PSPD for security, the DC Commission on Arts and Humanities for our public art, and also our programming partners. This includes the University of the District of Columbia's Community College, Microsoft Corporation, Freedom Farms, DC Office of Planning and Forward 8 Funding, Sustainable DC, and the Departments of Environment, Small and Local Business, Employment Services, the WIC, and Department of Insurance. And finally, we're very excited to offer amazing programs here at R.I.S.E. You'll see robotics displays and classes, as you'll see up here today. And if you want to get your robotics driver's license, you can test it out this morning. Microsoft IT training classes, please have your friends sign up for our Microsoft Word classes that start on September 8th with the University of the District of Columbia. Technology seminars, science fairs, exhibits and lectures on sustainability, kids innovation clubs, free business symposium, resource fairs, workforce development programs, fireside chats, pop-up tech shops, and more. We welcome you to R.I.S.E. Demonstration Center. We hope that each of you have an opening schedule, and thank you for coming out today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine, and Brian, and Jeff, and all of those who preceded you at the microphone. You know, we didn't mention one group. It was alluded to earlier by Councilmember Barry in his comments, and others of us alluded to it. But we should specifically mention our neighbors across the street. We have a brand new headquarters for the Coast Guard. I think it's 1.2 million square feet. I don't know, between 3,500 and 4,000 employees working across the street. And as we talk about continuing the development, I was saying to somebody yesterday, the day is going to come when we're going to have to expand this metro station. It's great we have a metro station here, but the day will come when people accessing this campus and the one across the street, the numbers will increase exponentially. And it means that we're going to have to expand this metro station. So let's get ready for that too. And moving people back and forth between the two campuses is going to be an exciting moment, yet another part of the development here. So let's open it up for any questions that you all may have on this topic right here. And by the way, it was mentioned earlier that we were last week designated as the coolest city in America by Forbes, and we are the fittest city. We actually went after that. Minneapolis was in front of us. They had it for the last 2 years, and we told Minneapolis, we're coming for you, okay? And we have now been designated as the fittest city in America also. I was just at a U.S. Conference of Mayors meeting on Sunday and Monday, and you know how you are in these jobs, right, Mr. Barry? Everybody that you talk to, you can't wait to tell them, you know, because they don't want to hear that, because it means that you did something better than they did at that stage. But that's all right. If we don't tell it, nobody else will. So we have been designated for those two things. We're about to issue soon new rankings cards also, right, Jeff? Yeah. And it will tell you where we are with some of these important indices in the city. But again, those are things that we can be proud of. So questions on the R.I.S.E. Center? Yeah, tell us who you are. Pardon? Okay, tell us who you are.
Kevin McGee.
Okay.
So my question is, what's your strategy for work going out to underserved populations, young people that normally would not come to any place like this, or seniors or people who may be afraid of technology? How do you get them to come out and to feel more comfortable coming to a setting like this?
Well, that's one of the jobs that Catherine has in order to be able to reach out, especially in this community, because we know that there are lots of underserved, unserved, and I will say, undereducated people in the communities over here. And by the way, I live on this side of the city as well. I'm in this community every day because I live here. So a part of who's being located here is a part of the outreach. One of the things that I talked about earlier was the relationship that we're going to have with Ballou and making sure that the Ballou students have an ongoing, enduring relationship with the technological aspects of of the R.I.S.E. Center. The UDC, the community college, will have a relationship here. So we are focusing on attracting entities that we know have those kind of tentacles, those kinds of relationships, so that this will be an ongoing inherent situation. It won't be just one person who shows up to have an outreach event. Outreach will be an inherent part of what's done here. It's what we've done from day one. The events that have been conducted here, the 20,000 people who have come, this has been done with intentionality. And in a substantial part to help people understand that this is no longer defined as a mental health facility. Yes, there is a hospital on these grounds, but this is so much bigger. So, psychologically and physically is taking down those gates, taking down those walls so that people don't feel, overwhelmed or threatened by what goes on this side of the gate. So that is an inherent part as one of the principles, and it's two different words, P-A-L, P-L-E, principles that we are adhering to, and you'll see that day in and day out. And frankly, it's one of the reasons why we were glad to connect with the Washington Informer, because they have those kinds of relationships, especially in these communities, and bring that kind of credibility, and we know will help people appreciate the importance of the relationships that they can nurture, they can establish, and they can build on here on the east side of this campus.
Mr. Mayor, I have an economic development question on this side of the river. Can I ask it now?
Actually, I want to stay on this topic until, I want to stay on the R.I.S.E. Center. All right. We have lots of media here. I assume there's nothing cynical that you all will ask today. That would be too much, right? Too much to ask. We're going to now do the ribbon cutting, and Darrell, are you gonna lead us in that direction? Out this way? Oh, right here. Okay. By the way, Catherine, I guess, talked about robots. You probably are wondering what this is up here. This is a robot, right? This is a robot. And robots are going to have an important role in the decades ahead. Robots are going to do lots of important things for us, and they will be such an aid. I got into robots actually about when I was with the ARC, and that was a while ago, because I worked with people with disabilities. And I realized then that having a robot in the life of people would be such an aid to their capacity to have better control of their environment, and that's what you're going to see with this robot and so many others in the iterations in the years ahead. So let's stretch out the ribbon and bring our folks up, Mr. Barry, and where'd Councilmember Bonds go? Oh, she did. Okay. Commissioners Cuthbert and Muhammad, come on up. It always feels good to be able to say I made the cut. Let me do a count. Okay. All right. Count down from 5. Come on, guys. Join us. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. the early stages of this development, and it had a date on it, April 13th of this year, which is obviously just a few months ago. And look at the transformation that has taken place here in just 4 months. Okay, can everyone look this way, please? All right.
Thank you.
Part of your effort has been to build up both Wards 7 and 8. Areas of the city have just not gotten much attention. I'm still waiting for Walmart to sign the Skyland agreement. They have been months and months and months. They've done all the other ones. They're all moving along. Some are open. Some people are suggesting that Walmart is waiting you out and that once you leave office, they're not going to sign the lease at Skyland and they're not going to build at Skyland. Can you give us any insight to whether that, in fact, is going to happen? What's the holdup?
I don't have any reason to draw that conclusion, Tom. I suppose that could happen, but I don't have any reason to draw that conclusion. And we've had conversations with people in Bentonville. We've had numerous conversations, and I don't think there's anybody who's close to this situation who has that view. Jeff?
What is the status then, sir, of their inability to sign a lease with Rappaport or whoever the hell it is now?
Jeff has been working on this as well as I have. I've actually been directly involved in it myself, and Jeff has been involved in it probably on an almost daily basis.
Signature projects.
I mean, to be fair, we are anxious to get the lease signed as well. We are in daily conversations with Rappaport and Walmart. There are just technical issues that have to do with frankly, the complexity of the site that they're working through. But we've been told that the lease is imminent.
Technical issues meaning what? That the land is not suitable, the buildings that have asbestos?
No, nothing like that. No. So there's a substantial retaining wall, a 60-foot high retaining wall on the site that has some very complex structural requirements, and because Walmart is sitting on top of that retaining wall, they want to confirm that the engineering that's been done on it is actually correct.
They're trying to get money? Is Walmart trying to get, or the developers trying to get more money from the city to participate?
Absolutely not.
Do you have any target date that this will happen in this century, or?
We're hopeful within the next 30 days.
30 days?
Yes.
Okay.
Sam?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, a D.C. police officer was shot this morning in what we're understanding is a carjacking. A D.C. police officer was shot this morning.
That part I got.
Okay. I understand it was a attempted carjacking.
Yes. I'm aware of the situation. There actually were 2 police officers that were involved, both off duty. And there was a chase. Deputy Mayor Quander has been with the situation along with Chief Lanier all morning. We've had extensive conversations about it. Let me say first of all that one of the officers was shot. And fortunately is going to be fine. Shot 4 times. And I don't know if it started as a carjacking. It started as seemingly anyway, and I don't want to get out too far out in front of this until we have all the details, but it almost was an attack on what we think they thought was a private citizen, because neither one of those officers was in uniform, and they were both off duty. Is that right, Paul? Let me ask Deputy Mayor Quander if he can add a couple things to this.
As the mayor indicated, first and foremost, the officer who was shot multiple times is out of surgery and is doing well and is anticipated to make a full recovery. Events happened very quickly this morning, resulting in an incident, a shooting that took place at the intersection of Southern and Pennsylvania Avenue. There was the attempted carjacking at that location. The officer who was off duty in his own vehicle was the subject of this attempted carjacking. He was not able to draw his own weapon, but he was able to strike the vehicle in which the perpetrators were riding, and then follow that vehicle, obtaining tag numbers so that others could join in. It was a long event, winding around certain areas in the district, including going into Prince George's County and then coming back, where the car was stopped in the 5500 block of Hunt Place, and one individual has been apprehended. It was a Nissan Altima Burgundy with New York plates. We believe this car was involved in maybe other incidents, so we're asking the public, if they have seen this vehicle, to call the Metropolitan Police Department at 202-727-9099. So 202-727-9099 if anyone has any information about this vehicle or the occupants of that vehicle.
Was there another person involved? The mayor referenced somebody else. Was there someone else involved here?
There was another police officer who was a witness to some of the events and was involved. And I would like to leave it at that at this preliminary stage.
So the officer was shot 4 times. He then used his car to hit the suspect's car and chase it.
So kind of way the 2 cars became engaged. Preliminarily, we believe that the officer was able to position his car to strike the car that the perpetrators were in. Then the perpetrator's car, that burgundy Nissan Altima with New York plates, fled in a north direction on Southern Avenue towards Bowen Road. The officer was able to follow for a short period of time, and then he had to discontinue the pursuit due to the injuries that he sustained.
Was this an attack on the police officers as police officers, or was it their jobs incidental to this incident?
I believe it's incidental. Both officers were off-duty, playing their casual attire, their own vehicles. The officer at Southern Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue happened to be there. We believe that he was there, and he was a victim of an attempted carjacking.
Were they together? Was that?
No.
They just happened to be in the same place?
Yes.
The second officer witnessed the initial carjacking.
The second, it's a very involved incident that I really don't want to get into at this time. The first officer was involved with this, with these individuals. Her vehicle was struck, and then she followed this vehicle, the perpetrator's vehicle, in an effort to get the tag. And so while she was following this vehicle, she lost sight of it temporarily. The perpetrators saw the officers, the detective's vehicle, try to carjack it. And it was at that time that the detective's vehicle struck or came into contact with the perpetrator's vehicle, ramming it or coming into contact, and then the perpetrators took off further up Southern Avenue, headed north.
So you were talking about a female officer and a male officer. Is that it? So they first tried to carjack a female officer?
We don't know if they tried to carjack her. There was some damage to her car. That's why Suitland Road near Alabama Avenue was closed, because there was a crime scene there. Evidence was collected at that location. Then the perpetrator's car continued Branch Avenue to Southern Avenue, turned on Southern Avenue, crossed Suitland Road, and at Southern and Pennsylvania, that's where they tried to carjack a second officer, individual who just happened to be a police officer who was at that location.
And the other car was following at that time and witnessed this?
A little further back, and came upon the scene after the gunshots.
Sir, did this start as
some sort of traffic stop by the original officer
No.
or an undercover operation involving the suspects?
No, it wasn't. All right. All right.
It's a lot of coincidence that two sets of police officers were involved in the same vehicle.
It just happened that way as far as we know. Two different officers, different locations. That's the way it is unfolding at this time. All right.
Struck by the suspects.
No, only one vehicle.
This vehicle was struck by the suspects. Well,
not,
wait a
not
minute.
not physically struck. And so
This is still unfolding, Sam, and rather than us speculate, you know, the deputy mayor has given you as much detail as we can corroborate at this stage, and as the day wears on, we will collect more information. I would say two things. That one, I'm glad this officer who was shot is no more seriously injured than he is, and secondly, we're very fortunate to have had, and I think it's coincidental in both instances, two police officers who were able to engage people who were engaging in this behavior.
No indication the officers were doing anything improper? No. Okay, thank you.
No. Mike, you had a question on something else? Okay. Tom?
Mr. Mayor, could your administration update us on where Park Southern rests at this moment? 700 tenants in a 360-unit building, mismanaged. I understand you've moved to take control of the building and sell it and keep the former managers from profiting. What's the status?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Ariel to come up. I'm going to ask Mike to come up also to talk in more detail about it. But the most important thing to me is to make sure that a building that has, I don't know, 360 units in it continues to be in use to the people of this ward, that it continues to be an affordable housing development. This is something that we've been involved in for months, dating back to the end of last summer, early fall, because there are ongoing problems. There are historic problems, you know, years of problems that have been associated with Park Southern, including the failure for years, I guess, to pay the debts that are associated with the loan that was granted by DHCD. So I'm going to ask Michael Kelly if he will reiterate the details quickly of what's involved here, and then I'll ask Ariel, who will talk about it from the Attorney General's perspective, what we're trying to do to compel the rights of the people who are there. I hope it is understood by everybody that the tenants themselves filed suit back in April because of their disaffection with and their dissatisfaction with the way the building was being managed.
Your administration asked for a public hearing on this matter with the D.C. Council to take a look at the full spectrum. That has not happened. Does that request still stand?
Well, we made the request, I think, back in May. We thought this would be a great way to air everything out, and of course, it's up to the council to make that decision. I don't have the, as Mr. Barry talked about democracy earlier, I don't have, as mayor, the ability to dictate a hearing.
That's still on the table.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Michael Kelly. As you probably know at this point, back in the early spring, there was issues around Park Southern came to our attention that we actually been working on them, as the mayor said, for over a year now. We're trying to work with the residents and the leadership there and the ownership there to rectify what we found to be some pretty terrible conditions, physically causing some threats to the health and safety of the residents. As was noted also during that period, there was some long periods of non-performance, things like regular financial audits and reviews and stuff that's just part of the relationship that we have in terms of lending money to an organization. That led to a default on the loan. We actually had a $3 million loan that actually had about $700,000 worth of non-payments associated with it, as well as the non-performance pieces of it. Where we are at this moment is that we are now looking to develop a long-term ownership that actually has the ability to reinvest in the property, commit to long-term affordability, and ensure that there is a resident voice in things that matter in the area. So that's what we're shooting for. In that regard, we have asked the Attorney General to request from the judge a custodian to look at selling the property and to having those commitments baked into the negotiated sale. The one thing I think it's important to note is that the decision we've asked the Attorney General to step into now is something that we're now looking to try to create a fair playing field and a third-party playing field. DA-City has the authority to go through default and to foreclosure, which would have led to an auction. We were actually moving along those lines, again, looking to long-term, new, fresh ownership. But what that would do in an auction situation would just basically provide ownership to whoever was the highest bidder. There was really no way of ensuring that that new owner would reinvest in the property or commit to resident engagement or even commit to the details of the long-term affordability. This effort, we are hoping that a judge will establish a custodian well-baked in the real estate modeling, well-baked in the community needs, and that new custodian will negotiate a sale so that there can be a long-term stabilization of the site.
Thank you, and good morning. Ariel Levinson Waldman with the Attorney General's Office. As Director Kelly noted, we've been looking at this issue for some time, and we wanted to go through as much possible process without court involvement to allow the nonprofit corporation and the Residents Council to work out the issue. And so the department had a management team in there that had worked very closely with the board, and that process played out for well over a year. And finally, it came to a head where the board fired the management company, and we looked at the issue, and we saw two really important interests for the districts that needed protecting. Number one, these residents who, through this nonprofit corporation, were supposed to be getting low-income housing at this site were not getting the housing that they were supposed to be getting. The inspection that had gone on 2011 and then came in and again earlier this year, it showed a failure to pay basic things like utility bills, mortgage payments, including a $750,000 mortgage payment to the district, which, as Director Kelly noted, had the loan here. The buildings had fallen into serious disrepair, and these included over 100 violations that DCRA detailed. We had damaged floors. We had cracked walls that were damp with water in them. We had defective fire extinguishers. We had bed bugs. We had mice. We had an infestation of roaches. Instead of using this nonprofit corporation's resources to address these issues, the board and Ms. Scott, who had appointed board members in violation of their own bylaws, they had arranged for Ms. Scott to receive a $60,000 annual salary for so-called property management and to live rent-free in the apartment. This gave us a great deal of concern, and really the straw that I think broke the camel's back was when an attempt was made by the board to sell this property for less than half of its fair market value to an organization called CSMI, which was not at arm's length. It was the agent for Ms. Scott's nonprofit, and it was the company that she had set up that had in turn hired her to get the $60,000 salary and to live rent-free. And all this gave us extraordinary concern about the use of this nonprofit and about ensuring that the district's $750,000 investment was protected. So we felt we had no choice but at the request of the department to go to court and to ask for the court to appoint a custodian, somebody who knows the real estate industry and has a public-minded spirit, to look for a way to sell this building to what we hope will be a nonprofit, not a commercial firm, that can continue the important work that this nonprofit was set up over a decade ago to do, and that is to provide quality housing to the low-income residents of this city.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Is the opinion, Mr. Kelly and Mr. Levinson, is the opinion that CSMI, are they in any way, are they a suitable buyer for this building if they go through this court supervised process, or is it the city's opinion that there's under no circumstances in which they're a suitable buyer?
As I understand it, there's no opinion has been arrived at on that issue, and this has no effect whatsoever on the eligibility of anybody who comes out and shows their bona fides to be a credible manager of this property and to honor its nonprofit purposes.
But you also said that you're looking for a nonprofit with certain qualifications and to make certain assurances, and the fact that this particular company does not have an arm's length relationship with the current owner makes that problematic?
What we're looking for is the court to appoint an independent evaluator of the situation, a custodian, and that's something that the custodian would need to take into account.
Just to be clear, any bidder would have to have clean hands in order to bid on a project like this, wouldn't they? Bidder.
That's
Clean hands meaning not owing any city taxes, not any arrears with DCRA or any other government agency. Aren't there clean hands obligations?
there are obligations, but those are all things in various forms of details that both the court and what we hope will be the custodian would have to set up in terms of a set of rules and processes.
That could be a hurdle for the previous management team.
Mr. Mayor, if I could ask one last question. This process has been ongoing, and they've raised questions about the condition of this property and the financial wherewithal and whether they've been meeting their obligations. You, for a long time, counted the president of the nonprofit owner as a political supporter of yours. Were you aware of this situation during that time? Did you ever bring that up with her?
Mike, I'm not going to allow the juxtaposition of these two issues. The condition of that property has motivated us to do what it is that we're doing at this stage. There are people who live in that building that I know. The person who has been the property manager I've known for years, but I think it's really inappropriate to allow those two things to be juxtaposed in this way and suggest that there is some relationship between the action involving one associated with any other action. One need only go over there and talk to the residents to get a full appreciation for what their feelings are about how the building is managed at this stage, and one need only walk through the building, which I have, and recognize the condition of the building. Mr. Ariel talked about some of those conditions, and we'd be happy to recount those in greater detail for you if you wish. So I don't want to allow the question to be phrased that way, and I won't answer it that way.